Perfect. Cool. Welcome everyone to the second event in our lineup of the SNHU Internship Awareness Month 2025 virtual sessions. My name is Corey White. I am a employer relations partner here at Southern New Hampshire University Career Services. We are very grateful that you've taken the time to join us today for this employer session. Please keep in mind that this session is being recorded. And if you could please also, as I mentioned earlier, make sure that as you come in, you put yourself on mute. That way we can focus our attention on our presenters and panelists today. And I am joined today with my wonderful colleagues from the internship team. And we have also some exciting employer guests for us here, representatives of a few employers for our panel that we will introduce momentarily. But if you could familiarize yourself with the features in Microsoft Teams. At the very top, there's a big banner and a bunch of different options that you can choose from. If you want to locate the chat feature, and make sure you stay engaged in there. And if you have any questions throughout the session, we will definitely be collecting those, as well as there is a Q&A feature as well. So if you want that question to potentially be answered in the Q&A portion of the session today later on, you can put your questions right in that piece. And as you are coming in as well in the chat, if you can just introduce yourself, tell us your name, your major, and where you live, that'd be great. And as we are going throughout the presentation as well, if you can locate the React button at the very top and just give me a thumbs up to let me know that you are all engaged and present. Thank you for doing that. So with that, also talk a little bit about some accessibility for you. So if you need to enable live captioning, you can follow the steps that are on the screen, and it'll only apply to your screen, not everyone else's. So if you click more at the very top icon, then you can select language and then speech and then turn on live captions. And with that, we have a deep commitment to inclusion and accessibility here at SNHU. So it is our policy and practice to create an inclusive and accessible learning environment for you. So individuals with accessibility needs requiring accommodations, you may reach out to the following resources here on the screen. If you're an online student, you can reach out to oac@snhu.edu or give us a call at 866-305-9430. If you're a campus student, you can reach out to cac@snhu.edu or give us a call at 603-644-3118. And if you are a staff or faculty member here at the university, you can reach out to hr@snhu.edu. All right. So again, teaser at the beginning, but I am joined again today by my co-presenters and moderators for the session, three of our very own internship administrators from the SNHU Career Services team. So please give a warm welcome to Amrique, Anissa, and Celeste. And with that, I will hand it over to them.
Thanks, Corey. Hi, everyone. My name is Amrique Hector. I'm an internship administrator here at SNHU. The programs that I support are students in the social sciences and liberal arts programs, and I will be gathering questions in the chat today. Welcome. Over to you,
Hello.
Anissa.
Thank you, Amrique. Hello, my name is Anissa Roundtree. I'm the internship administrator at SNU. As well, the programs I support is the business programs and general studies, where internships are not required but highly encouraged.
Hi, I'm Celeste Foley. I also am an internship administrator, but I work with required programs, health information management and the Masters of Public Health.
Now, let's talk about some great benefits of doing an internship. And some of those great benefits are as follows: networking and connection to professionals, being able to test drive your career goals, gaining professional experience and skills, boosting your resume and portfolio. We know we want to do that. Internships often lead to full-time job offers, discovering your passion in the field, receiving evaluation and opportunities for growth, and learning about professional certifications and organizations. Now, let's take a look at internship benefit statistics. Students, shall we? According to NACE, about 60%, did you know, of interns receive full-time job offers from their internship companies. Interns are 60% more likely to get a full-time job offer than those without internships. 50 to 60% of employers prioritize relevant internship experience when hiring college graduates. And according to Link 2020, it reports students with field-specific internships are 60% more likely to be hired directly out of college. How about those stats? Internship experience in one field increase hiring chances by 60 to 80%, students. As you can see by the statistics there presented, the great benefits of doing an internship. Now I'd like to turn it over to Celeste, who will introduce today's panelists.
Hi, I'm honored to present our panelists, and I want to thank them for sharing their time and expertise with us. First up, we have Rachel Schumacher. She earned undergraduate degrees in finance and marketing, as well as an MBA. She works in entry-level hiring at Eide Bailly, specializing in hiring for tech, consulting, and accounting-related roles. She works remotely from North Dakota, where she was born and raised. Next up, we have Kim Donovan. She is an experienced HR professional at DirecTV with a history of working in the media and telecom industries. She is skilled in HR strategy, early career recruiting, learning management, sales operations, sales management, leadership, and project management. Travis Carter from FEMA could not be with us today, so we are fortunate to have Keith Cassant. He's earned a master's degree in organizational leadership and multiple certifications in human resources, cybersecurity, physical security, leadership, and resiliency. He serves as the Veterans Program Manager for the Department of Homeland Security Federal Agency, the Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency, where he applies his expertise in veterans and military spouse outreach and employment to support the agency's mission and goals. And last but certainly not least, we have Kathy Young. She is the Director of University Relations at the American Heart Association, where they lead the organization's National Internship Program, which is recognized as a top 100 internship program that enhances opportunities for early career professionals. With a background in sales leadership and extensive experience in mentorship and talent development, Kathy is passionate about guiding students and recent graduates in their career journeys. Thank you all for joining us today.
Thank you, Celeste, for introducing today's panelists. Panelists, today, we will present you 4 questions, and then we'll turn it over this session to our student questions. I will start with first Miss Yu, Rachel, then Miss Kim, and then Mr. Keith, and then Miss Kathy. The first question of the afternoon is the following, panelists. Can you tell us a little bit about your background and how you got to the position you are in today?
Yeah, Absolutely. Well, first of all, I'm excited to be here. Definitely always fun to talk to SNHU students. And I was lucky enough to be a part of the panel last year. And so I'm always happy when I get to be brought back. How I got into my role as a campus recruiter at Eide Bailly is I was pursuing my master's and still in school. And I directly entered the workforce with Eide Bailly. And I've been here ever since. This is my first professional role. And I can't really see myself leaving anytime soon. I found a great company to work for, and I'm happy to be here. Definitely do like to mention I was connected with Eide Bailly through a women's mentorship program during my undergraduate degree while I was pursuing my undergrad, and there were 20 female mentors at Eide Bailly who were mentoring college students. And when I applied to Eide Bailly 3 years later, 18 of the 20 still worked there. And so while I had offers from other companies and while I was looking to pursue different avenues, what I really thought was interesting is that 18 of the 20 women still work there 3 years later. And that felt like a pretty good retention rate. And so I crossed my fingers, hope for the best. And lucky enough for me, it was definitely true. The culture reigns through a little bit different in every office, but that's something that gives each office a little bit of a different flavor and something that's fun about Eide Bailly.
Thank you so much, Miss Kim.
Yeah, I can go ahead and go next. So I think a little bit of how I got to where I am will kind of explain why I had like this litany of skills that I feel like I can say that I'm proficient in. But it's been quite a journey to get where I am today. And quite honestly, I wouldn't change it for anything in the world. So I spent close to 34 years at AT&T. Over the course of those 34 years, I had about 15 different roles. The last 9 years were in some form or fashion of an HR capacity, including college recruiting. And it was the best job I had at AT&T, I have to say that. But I got there because working at a large company allowed me to explore different parts of the business that were of interest to me. Your ability to network, to have informational interviews, to job shadow allows you to really explore. About 4 years ago, when AT&T and DirecTV split partnership, I was able to retire from AT&T with all the pomp and circumstance that goes along with that, and join DirecTV with the primary goal of building the college recruiting and internship program and strategy. So I was able to take everything that I had learned at a big, huge corporation, 200,000 plus people, the good, the bad, and the ugly, and create in my mind the utopian version of what a strategy should look like at a smaller company, less than 10,000. It's been extremely exciting and incredibly rewarding. And I do believe that my job at DirecTV is the best job in the company because you have such an ability to make an impact in people's lives. So that's how I got where I am.
Thank you so much.
All right. Good afternoon. Good morning to some of y'all. My name is Keith Kassan, as was mentioned. Yeah. And so how I got here, I could probably take up the entire remainder of the 30 minutes of this call to talk about that. Because it's been an interesting journey, to say the least. I retired from the Army about 5 years ago. And in that time, I've had 5 jobs, which is not uncommon for veterans. But all that to say, this is how I got here. 4 out of my 5 jobs I got through networking. Right. And with this being an internship focused conversation, internships is the best way to network. I never had an internship myself, but it's networking, right? You hear the phrase all the time, it's who you know, not what you know. So even the job that I have now, it's actually my second job in CISA, in this agency. My first job, I was working with hackers. I was like their HR admin support guy. So I can speak the cyber language, but I'm not technically a keyboard warrior. For all you cyber IT folks out there, don't start hitting me up with too many questions about that. But all that to say, when I came on board at CISA, I got an email one day from a gentleman basically saying, "Hey, fellow veteran, welcome to the agency. I'm your veterans program manager." And I'm like, "Hey, what do you do?" So when I found out what he did, I was like, yeah, that's my dream job. I need to come work with you. Now, granted, the second billet or position to come work with him never got created. But after about 1.5 years of working in a different capacity, I built connections with him. I built relationship with him and his coworkers and his bosses. So when it came time about 1.5 years later, he put in his 2 weeks notice And his bosses just reached out to me directly and said, "Hey, Keith, Corey just put in his resignation. The job's yours if you want it." And that really is how you get jobs. It's all about getting your name into that hiring manager's ear. And again, internships are a great way to do that. So.
Awesome. Well, I can take it from there. So Kathy Young, I'm excited to be here today. Thank you so much for the invitation. And I think that my career journey might resonate with a lot of you because I've reinvented myself a few times. So back in the day, I owned my own business. I own 3 different martial arts studios. I'm a 6th-degree black belt master instructor in Taekwondo, and did that for many years. But while I was doing that, I also was volunteering in nonprofits and held leadership positions in nonprofits. And so when I decided to sell my business and that I was enjoying my nonprofit work, even though it was volunteer, more than managing my businesses, sold those and was able to leverage my volunteer experience as well as my business experience into fundraising and joined the American Heart Association. If your kids or you ever did, back in the day, it was called Jump Rope for Heart. Now it's called the Kids Heart Challenge. Give me a heart sign with those reactions if you know that program, because that's what I did at the American Heart Association when I started, and I led teams for 12 years. But again, during that time, I did volunteer positions with our ERGs, with our employee resource groups. And I was able to start one of those, build that from the ground up. And so the organization was able to see different leadership skills and different program skills that I had. And so when the opportunity came to build an internship program from the ground up, I was able to do that. I do not have an HR degree, but again, with the skills and networking and being able to see, what I was able to do with some other programs, I was able to move into this. And now in 2 years was able to take this to a top 100 program in the country. And so it's been a unique journey of how I've gotten here. But I think most of you might be on a unique journey as you're maybe pivoting or something. So excited to chat with you all more.
Thank you so much, panelists, for your answers to the first question. The second question is the following, panelists. Can you share examples of successful experiences with online student interns in the past? So once again, can you share examples of successful experience with online student interns in the past?
Yeah. Definitely. At Eide Bailly, I get the pleasure of hiring for some really great departments that we like to consider under our technology consulting umbrella, but also our specialty services umbrella. So oftentimes I'm hiring students who, maybe are computer science or management information systems, but also accounting, healthcare accounting, healthcare finance, tons of different opportunities. And so I'm seeing students with a lot of different degrees, but a lot of different backgrounds. And the roles I hire for are probably 50-50 in-person versus remote. And we see a ton of success with students who are online learners, but also online interns. We always say we don't need you to be a professional at a physical desk in our office. We need you to be a professional at a desk somewhere that works for you. And a lot of times, we're seeing that students are more successful in their own homes or doing projects at night or working whenever it fits into their schedule. And so it's definitely something that I'm proud to be a part of at Eide Bailly, getting to hire remote learners and remote interns. And we have had a ton of success specifically on the technology consulting side of Eide Bailly. We probably hire anywhere from 20 to 50 interns a year every season. So we'd say summer, fall, spring. And a majority of those students are remote. And we just see a ton of success. Like, I mean, the examples are what they are. They're remote students, they're remote learners, they're remote career changers, and they're looking to get into the field of technology consulting. And once they get through the doors of Eide Bailly, once we get them through the HR onboarding, they do a ton more onboarding with our Future Consultants program, which really gives them a basis and a library of learning to take on into their internship. So while they also learn directly with the the department that they're working in, which is maybe data analytics or Salesforce consulting or cybersecurity. They're also learning from our Future Consultants program, which is trying to help them become more of a consultant, get that consultative aptitude, understand how to ask questions, understand what it's like working with clients. And I would say a majority of those students have had a really, really good experience. It makes me sad that we can't maybe offer full time to all of them just based on our capacity, but it's definitely something we see a lot of success with. And if they don't end up with a full time offer, they do end up with some real life skills and certifications that iBailey is paying for that they can bring into their next role.
Yeah, and very similar as Rachel. I'm the primary recruiter for all of the internship programs and see a diverse slate of candidates every day. DirecTV is a remote first company, so meaning that the majority of our employees do not ever even go into an office. There are a few exceptions, just a handful. But for us, a student who is experienced, has the necessary skill set to be successful, and has that demonstrated accountability of success in a virtual setting are the ones that are most attractive to us. And it could be any of our roles. We usually do between 40 and 50 interns every year, and they are, with the exception of 5, remote every year. So students who are remote learners make excellent remote interns because you understand the dynamic of being accountable, keeping yourself present, and being available when people need you. Those types of connections in terms of that self-accountability is really what our hiring managers are looking for. We do have 1 week every summer with our interns where we bring them together as a cohort, because our motto is work balance, our life balance, right? And so while we're remote first, it doesn't mean that everything is 100% remote. So we do allow opportunities for engagement and being in person. And during that week that we bring everybody together, we really focus on understanding industry culture and company, and we do some great tours. You get to hear from speakers, and you get to hear from professional, seasoned leaders who are in the same environment, who are remote as well. And you get to learn from them on how they are able to navigate that setting and be successful in your role. So online students make our best interns, quite frankly.
Sorry, trying to find the mute button. All right, so question was success stories for internships, correct? Just making sure I'm still tracking. I'm old.
No problem. The question was, can you share examples of successful experiences with online student interns in the past?
Yeah, absolutely. So again, so my agency, being the federal government, it's a little bit different for internships. We do absolutely have them, but it's a little bit of I guess you can say, a more formal process. And so specific to my agency, we leverage heavily what's known as the Scholarship for Service internship program, which, if I'm not mistaken, NHSU, SNHU is involved with that. But that's not the only internship program. We have an entire team dedicated to internships. Again, I'm more on the veteran side, but I work very closely. They're in the same branch that I work in. I can even just drop the email if you're ever interested in one of our internships. It's student careers at CISA.dhs.gov. I can even drop that in the chat later. But all that to say, yes, we have numerous types of internship programs where you will come in, you will work side by side alongside federal employees. Again, and everybody gets hung up on I don't want to say hung up, everybody thinks of the cyber side of our mission, which is absolutely probably the majority of our mission, but we're actually responsible for all the nation's critical infrastructure. So we're responsible for the dams, the roads, the power grids, the water supplies, any of that kind of stuff, you name it. So we do have a large physical security aspect to us as well. So you can find internships even like in those types of roles. But all that to say, we bring people in, we have multiple repeat interns. Sometimes they come in as a freshman and we keep bringing them back every summer. And then we even have the federal government as a whole has what's known as a recent graduate hiring pathway where previous interns of the federal government can even be brought back there after their senior year for one more internship that actually leads to employment in the federal government at the completion of that internship. So yeah, I mean, lots of success stories where college students have been able to find, that are interested in federal employment have managed to find a way to get their foot in the door that way.
So these are all great examples. And I think, since COVID, the Heart Association has changed and we are now, I would say 98% hybrid at a minimum, with a large percent of our employees fully remote. My role is fully remote. And so we do have a mix of hybrid internships where you do need to be local to help give, the give backs in the community and make sure that the public health is getting done. But we also have a ton of full-time or of remote roles as well for internships. So give me a heart if you are interested in marketing and communications, because I'm going to give you an example there. So marketing and communications, we had an intern come in full remote role to help with our employer branding. So in actually helping to promote what we do at the American Heart Association and trying to get people to think about careers here. That intern was able to move into that role. And so now if you're on LinkedIn and you're seeing posts about our jobs, our careers, that's from an intern that was just with us about a year and a half ago. Give me a heart if you're in sales, maybe thinking about, going into nonprofit management, something like that. We have interns that have done fully remote positions that are now doing mission advancement. So looking at major donors for us and helping to do research and make those asks. What about data science? Anybody give me some hearts? Data science, program evaluation, public health. Those are also fully remote roles for us. And we've done a great job converting and hiring those folks that are doing that work as well. So it's great to see so many people interested. We hire all across the spectrum in, whether it's accounting, anything like that. There's all sorts of jobs here, and many of them are fully remote.
Thank you so much. Okay, panelists, the third question is the following. What do you consider when vetting candidates for internships who may not look like the traditional student? I'll repeat that. What do you consider when vetting candidates for internships who may not look like the traditional student?
Yeah. Well, at Bailey, it doesn't really matter to us, honestly. It's just not a huge part of our hiring process. And I wouldn't say it's a part of any of our hiring processes, comparing, one candidate who looks like this or has this or something like that. I honestly have a lot of groups and departments that I hire for that prefer a non-traditional student or a career changer or someone who comes in and brings this awesome experience with them that you can't get from a candidate who is pursuing a 4-year accounting degree straight from university. It's definitely to your advantage sometimes. I think a big piece of advice on this is that, yes, although maybe it's not a consideration that Bailey makes, is tailoring your resume to match what you've done, right? If you've had to take time off or if you're going back to school or any of that kind of stuff, that doesn't matter to us. Just make sure your resume reads correctly so that we know, hey, okay, well, hey, we're going through this, or maybe we should ask about this, or what was their background before this? Okay, they have a degree in nursing and now they're going for cybersecurity. Well, great. They might be actually the perfect fit for XYZ role that we didn't even know we wanted to hire for, but because of their background, we're going to open a position for them. So I would say definitely stay confident in your skills, double check your resume is accurate before applying. And then if you're really worried about it, you can always reach out to the recruiter or someone at the company, or like, Keith was talking about networking and asking some of those questions. Hey, is this a big deal? Or is this going to be okay? Absolutely do any of those kind of things, and probably do all of them, if I'm being honest, just to make sure you're in the right boat and that your resume matches exactly what you've done so that the company really can get a feel if you're going to be the right candidate. Just as much as we recruiters are looking for the right candidate at Eide Bailly or the company we work for, you should also be looking for the right company to match your needs as well. So just as much as we're double checking your resume, you should be double checking ours as well.
Yeah, and I would echo that. It's a two-way street, right? It's just not a one-way interview process. It is you making sure it's a right fit for you. And for DirecTV, it doesn't matter how you're receiving your education. As long as you're pursuing one, whether it's a four-year undergraduate degree or an advanced degree, it's more about skills and experiences as well as cultural fit. Because we're a remote first company, we have to make sure that people have the right type of personality to fit in that culture, that they're not going to sit in their office at home and not interact and not engage. So a lot of our interviews are not only technically based or skill based, but they're culture based, right? Well, how do you manage autonomously? How do you do things like reach out to a leader that you can't get a hold of? Really making sure that these people are strong and proactive in their approach and that they would be a good fit for DirecTV. Actually, and I should have used this example of the last question, so sorry, but we actually have this summer an intern coming in who just completed their first year of law school, who is not a traditional student. Very much later in life, they decided they wanted to pivot to a career in law. And they have tons of experience. They understand our industry and our space. And even though they don't look like a traditional student, they were absolutely the right fit for our internship program. So it doesn't matter. It's looking at your skills, it's looking at your experiences, and us seeing you in our environment are what's most important. So as you're looking at those job descriptions, and again, to echo Rachel, make sure your resume matches up to what that skill that they're looking for in that position. You got your best shot of at least getting looked at and getting considered when they look at your resume and say, wow, this is exactly what we're looking for. You want your resume to make them say, there's no way we cannot not speak with this person.
All right, so I'll foot stomp it one more time. Tailor the resumes. That is absolutely critical. I tell people the secret to any job is the secret sauce to any job is 3 ingredients. And the first one is a tailored resume. The second part, also having to do with the resume, is measurable results in that tailored resume. Tell me what the outcome was for all that. And then the last thing is what I've already talked about, which is networking. Now, as far as, the non-traditional applicant, right? Even in my workspace of working primarily with the military community, I deal with military spouses all the time. They've been stay-at-home parents and things of that nature, and they feel like they don't have any skills. Volunteer work, anything you can go volunteer to do can count towards work experience. But even just what you do day to day. So the sense of transferable skills sometimes involves a little bit of creative thinking and even a little bit of creative wordplay, right? If you're a stay-at-home parent, I would argue that you're an operations manager, you're a transportation professional, you're a chef, cook, whatever. I mean, you do so much as a parent that you might feel silly putting that down on a resume, but it's applicable, right? You ran a calendar and managed budgets and all kinds of things. Again, with I don't want to say word play because that makes it seem unprofessional, but with the right wording, you can I've seen it done. I've helped people do it. You can absolutely speak to the skills that organizations are looking for. And even if you maybe aren't a stay-at-home parent, but just in general, your job, especially if you're looking to pivot, you may not have exactly what they're looking for, but you ask yourself, do I have the root of what they're looking for, right? Maybe I've never been a congressional liaison to Congress for the Department of Defense. And I say that because this is a recent example I actually dealt with. Okay, this guy, I've never been a congressional liaison dealing with congressional inquiries, but I actually have handled military investigations. Okay, so I can't say I did it for Congress, but I can say I did it for the military. And that what we call bridging the gap, right? So you say, I don't have exactly what you're looking for, but this is what I do have. And this is how it's relevant, right? So even back to that stay-at-home parent situation. I may not have, in an office experience running a budget, but I manage a family's budget, and this is how we accomplish, what our goals are as a family. It seems outside of the box, but I'm telling you, I've seen it work too. So if you don't have exactly what they're looking for, ask yourself, what's the root of what they're looking for? Do I have that root skill in any way, shape, or form in my lifetime? Be it personal life, volunteer life, or professional life. But don't neglect, don't think it's only your professional life.
There's little I can add to what my three friends have said here. The resume is key, right? And so the trick is, if you don't have that experience, right, then how do you make your resume fit? And so I love what Keith was saying about the volunteer experience, right? Can you shadow someone? Use that networking, and then I know we're talking about remote, so shadowing might be hard, but if you don't ask, you don't know if they can make that happen. I don't want to sugarcoat it. At the American Heart Association, we consider our internship to be kind of that last step before full-time employment. And so we're not somewhere necessarily to build that experience. That's probably not going to be a fit for us. But if you were president of the PTA, right, think about all those transferable skills to getting into fundraising at the American Heart Association. You had to lead events, right? You're an event planner. You had to fundraise. You had to manage accounts. There's all sorts of transferable skills there that can then show up on a resume that would show me, okay, this isn't your first experience. You do bring skills to this as you're getting finishing up a degree in event management, or finishing up a degree in marketing and communications, thinking about sales in the future, right? So there's all of those pathways to take. So look for those opportunities of where you can volunteer and who can help you build skills that you can add to a resume.
Thank you so much. As time continues to move, you guys, as I'm keeping record of time, I'm going to ask the fourth question. If we can get a few panelists to answer those questions, I would greatly appreciate it. I see our student questions, and I really want to take the little bit of time we have, because it is moving, to at least try to ask you guys 2 of their questions. So for the fourth question, if we could get 2 panelists to answer that question, and then we'll turn the rest of the time over to the students' questions, if that's okay today. So I'm going to ask the fourth question. What is the best characteristics and demonstrated skills a student should display at an internship that will assist them in hopes of an internship turning into full-time employment? What is the best characteristics and demonstrated skills a student should display at an internship that will assist them in hopes of an internship turning into full-time employment?
I can kick this one off. So I'm going to keep it super simple. You got to be organized, especially if you're online. You've got to manage and meet deadlines. When you are delivering and the team can trust that you're going to do that, that is going to help you land that full-time job with those good deliverables on time. And then I think another key thing is asking questions. They need you to be interactive. They need you to reach out. And some people, when they start their internship, they're nervous to ask questions because, they might think I don't know what I'm doing. You just got here. You're not supposed to know what you're doing yet, right? That we want to coach you. That's part of why you're here. And so asking questions gets you on the same page with your manager quicker, so you can build trust, and then you can get to those higher level projects, again, meeting those deadlines, turning them in. Then they see how coachable you are, and that is a big thing with an intern. We want someone that's coachable because we know we're going to have to train you coming in early career into this role.
Absolutely. I will second everything Kathy said. I think it is huge. I would say use your resources before you ask a question, but then ask the question, okay? Don't spin your wheels too long. We don't need you sitting there not understanding what to do, okay? Google it. If it's not on Google, ask the higher up. And then I always say the number one thing we look for is a candidate who's willing to learn. You can't necessarily show that on your resume. That's what's tricky. But when you get through the door, hey, jump on projects, do things you're not qualified, and raise your hand. We definitely want you at a seat at the table. And if you don't raise your hand, if you don't volunteer, or if the opportunity doesn't present itself, ask to be a part of the group. That's definitely something we like to see.
Thank you so much, panelists. With actually 5 minutes left, I'm going to turn it over, and thank you guys. I want to turn it over to our students' questions. And so let's turn the session over to our students' questions. Our students have asked so many great questions. Thank you, students, for your participation. The questions are open to all panelists. Okay, let's look at their questions here. How can we stand out in our applications from the other applicants to the employer? How can we stand out in our application from the other applications to the employers?
I'll jump on this one. Besides networking, because again, I keep foot stomping. I even just dropped my LinkedIn URL in the chat, right? Getting your name into their ear is going to give you a huge leg up on the competition. But solely based off of the resume, keep it simple. I said it before, is that second ingredient, measured results, right? Tailoring my resume, I may get some pushback here, but maybe not, hopefully not. I argue that tailoring my resume, all that does is get me past the recruiter. All right. It's not going to impress the hiring manager because it's not telling the hiring manager anything. So how my application stands out is when my resume gives the measured results of what I've done. But I say that because 9 times out of 10, that's what's missing, right? I can tell you I've done X, Y, and Z, but as a hiring manager, I'm not hiring you for X, Y, Z. I'm hiring you for the outcome of X, Y, and Z. And 9 times out of 10, especially after we've tailored a resume, because a job description is just action, action, action. So our resume looks like action, action, action. I need to know what was the outcome of every action, and make it measurable, because you can give me an outcome that still tells me nothing. You can say, oh, I did X and Y and it increased the efficiency of this process. Okay, cool. By how much though? Like, is that impressive? I don't know. But if you say, hey, I did X and Y and it increased the efficiency of this process by roughly 10% and saved the organization $5,000. Oh, now I'm listening, right? If every single one of the bullets or actions on your resume have a measured result like that tied to it, I'm going to want to talk to you about that stuff. So I think measured results is the single most under mentioned thing, but the single most important thing to really get your foot and impress the hiring manager and get your foot in the door for that interview.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Mr. Keith. I'm going to jump to the next question and see if we could get one panelist to answer that question, and then we'll try to get one more in because we're very close to time. Okay, so let's see here. The next question, how can I network or get references if I do not know anyone in the field or I have trouble being social in person? How can I network or get references if I don't know anyone in the field or I have trouble being social in person?
I can start with this one. I think LinkedIn is going to need to be your best friend. So you can go into LinkedIn and search by companies and search by organizations and reach out and connect to people who work for those companies. Ask for a getting to know you conversation. Ask for a coffee chat to learn about the company and their role in the company, expressing your interest. That's probably the biggest opportunity you have to make connections from a virtual perspective.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. We'll take a stab at the last question we're going to ask for today as our time is coming very close to the end. Let's see here. How can I get employers to offer more for internships for people who have experienced like 7 years of experience? So how can I get the employer to offer more internships for people who have experience, like 7 years of experience?
I can step in quick here. I think it's important during the hiring process to just be transparent that you're okay with taking an internship. I think that's something as a recruiter or as our company, sometimes, we don't want to feel like you think you're being demoted or anything like that. You know, with 7 years of experience, that's not something we take lightly. But at the same time, oftentimes our concern is, will this internship be enough to sustain them? You know, to help them gain their skills, even though they already have 7 years of experience in this area. So during that initial conversation, or maybe in your message to them on LinkedIn saying, hey, I do want an internship in this role, or I am changing careers, and although I have 7 years of experience in this other area, I'm looking to start from the ground up experience in this other area. And then I'm trying to answer some questions in the chat on the Q&A side too.
Thank you so much. That's all the time we have today for questions. I want to thank you, panelists, for your wonderful information and for enlightening our students with your great knowledge and years of experience. I would like to now turn this session over to Mr. Corey.
All right. Wow. So tons of information, and again, the time goes by so fast, I feel like, in these, and there's so much engagement happening. So truly appreciate that. I want to thank our panelists, employer panelists today, for their time, sharing their insights and advice with our audience. So big shout out and thank you to Kim, Keith, Kathy, and Rachel. And then I also want to shout out my colleagues from the internship team, Anissa, Celeste, and Amrique. It's been a pleasure. But I hope you all found this a good use of time. And again, this was the second part of our Internship Awareness Month series. We do have one more event happening this month. It is next week on Tuesday, April 22nd at 12 noon Eastern Time. And I'm going to drop that information into the chat. So if you enjoyed this session and you want to come back for some more, definitely join us for that session next week. And it's titled Illuminating Your Path and Finding Keys to Success with the Magic of Disney and Pixar. And that's going to be run by some of our other internship colleagues next week. So I will put that here in the chat. And with that, we will see you on the next one. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Thank you for coming, you guys. Thank you.